So I'm 43, okay, going on 44. Right, I'm actually, it's not even, it's barely past the halfway point of my 43rd year of life. And you guys have been trying actively since at least 2016, since February of 2016, around the time that Antonin Scalia was murdered, Justice Antonin Scalia was murdered, to play as if I'm Hillary Clinton. The first effort I understood of somebody actually saying, we expect you to perform as if you're our Hillary. You're going to be Hillary in the local context in order for us to pretend like you're Hillary Clinton and we're going to get what we want based on you being Hillary Clinton. Was when I was in a homeless and domestic violence shelter in Chicago. And the very real reference point is that somebody who actually threatened to evict me and insulted me and harassed me after I had been threatened with physical violence literally gave me a biography of Hillary Clinton. He didn't have any context for why he did this. He just gave it to me one day. This is the same shelter that, by the way, stole library books I had checked out after they illegally evicted me and pretended like they didn't know what happened to them, right? Just so you know. And when I had that book, which I only had for a short period of time because I did not take it with me, I read through three different things about her life as spot reading that were things that happened during the campaign and the first and second presidency of Bill Clinton that impacted her directly as First Lady. First, it had to do with the onset of the internet, an understanding that originally the internet was actually a tool that had been created by people who were conservative and that they had come to her to discuss with her possibilities for using the internet, including in a manner that would be able to reach out to those that were identified more along the lines of the constituency that was favored and that favored the Clinton administration. The first thing I would say if I were her would be, how are you going to assure that your cybersecurity is able to be maintained? How are you going to address concepts of how these symbolic computer languages end up impacting people's cognitive development, including at young ages, but also at later stages of life? That would be the first starting point. Then I would see, how are you going to address the decommissioning of military usage of these technologies for them to be made available to the civilian population in a manner that will respect where they came from and acknowledge and address the fact that much of this technology was acquired during war or in a state of attempted preparedness and readiness for a wartime scenario. If you can't even answer those questions directly, you're out the door, and I'm going to be commissioning an investigation of what you're doing with this so called internet, which now is the Internet of Things. We have so advanced in our relationship with technology and its imposed priority on our lives that we call it the Internet of Things. Number one. Number two, when I'm in the course of trying to address energy related matters, I don't know, some sort of paradigm whereby people that have been involved in the energy sector for a significant amount of time are trying to engage around policy issues because there's been certain priorities that have been expressed in terms of political momentum, addressing issues related to climate change or to other concepts of sustainability, and then they say they want a closed door meeting with me. I'm going to ask them to verify and authenticate who the participants are and how is it that somebody that's claiming to represent an organization in a certain manner appears to be conspiring or at least cooperating with a very questionable pattern that was part of the problems that led to a necessitation of a redesignation of energy priorities. If they can't answer that question and refuse to even respond to the email, I'm going to have them leave and I'm going to commission and investigation into their activities, into the lobbying behind their activities, and then I'm going to see how it was that they got access to me and my schedule. And I'm going to track their refusal to remove me from their mailing list while they're engaged in egregious breaches of the most basic cyber protocols. And so evident that even the schedule for their alleged online session is intolerable. And how is it that the only two sessions I do attend are on bandwidths that are banned? That's the second one, right? Do you need more? Stop pretending I'm your token, Hillary Part 2. Nothing about my life would be like hers. You know why? I'll tell you why. I wouldn't be married to that sex predator long enough to be considered First Lady. By now, I would have divorced him and I would have had him prosecuted for criminal charges. Then I would have had an investigation initiated regarding whoever was supporting the union for the Arkansas State Troopers to see who involved with the pension system of the state and or potentially other states, perhaps even in conjunction with other governors, was conspiring to defraud the people of that state into acts of pension fraud that actually do have national security implications. Do you understand? There is absolutely nothing you are going to be able to do to make me into Hillary Clinton Part 2. I would have completely 100% repudiated the legitimacy of the Clinton presidency. At this stage in my life, if Bill Clinton came into office, I would be impeaching whoever even allowed him to be put into the Electoral College system. He should have already been vetted and precluded from participation.